Turkey's military operation against Kurdish forces is entering its third day, with Ankara's tanks now moving into Syrian territory. It comes after the USA announced it is training Kurdish militia to establish a new border force in the region. Well, the US has acknowledged that two of its allies in the Middle East are in conflict, and the US Defense Secretary said that Washington had been consulted about Turkish operations. With more, here's Ilya Petrenko.
Unbelievable. Is this real? A NATO member telling Daddy, you know who I mean?
Amerika'nın
Behave yourself, or I'll point a gun at you. Am I exaggerating? A bit. Mr. Erdogan didn't say these exact words, but Turkey's got a prime minister who pretty much did.
Anyone who gives logistical support to the YPG is Turkey's target.
For the record, the YPG equals the Kurdish army. And for all these years, who's been giving the Kurds all kinds of support? Right.
Ey Amerika.
Over the weekend, the Kurds were extended an olive branch. That's what Ankara calls its military op. The Kurds say they repelled an attack on Sunday, but where does the YPG get its guns?
Amerika.
Tayyip Erdogan couldn't care less why Washington's been helping the Kurds. To destroy ISIL? For this man, the Kurdish militias are no better than terrorists. That explains his latest messages to America.
The U.S. is in the process of creating a terror army on our border. What we have to do is nip this terror army in the bud. America, do not encroach on our borders. Do not provoke us, or we will run out of patience.
Does anyone from the U.S. government have anything to say?
We urge Turkey to exercise restraint and ensure that its military operations remain limited in scope and duration and scrupulous to avoid civilian casualties.
Some very restrained counsel there. To be restrained. Think about it. Mr. Erdogan rants at America. U.S. officials don't hit back. Turkey rolls out the tanks, flies out the warplanes, sends soldiers over the border. Washington basically keeps stum. After all, this isn't about Kim, whose slightest squeak makes Donald Trump, for one, roar. So perhaps the Turks and the Kurds have succeeded in one thing together: reducing America to baffled silence.
Ilya Petrenko there. Well, we spoke with a former Turkish ambassador to the US who believes that America should be held responsible for the military standoff in northern Syria.
The US is responsible, is the reason why Turkey felt compelled to intervene and to start this operation in the first place, because the U.S., even though they backtracked after the initial announcement, they said they want to establish an army, a force, a parallel force. In all countries of the world, there is only one flag and one army. Ankara was determined, even before such an announcement, that the YPG should not be armed, but our allies, particularly the U.S., did not listen and continued their support with heavy weapons, with 4,000 truckloads of weaponry to YPG. Against whom? Against the Syrian regime? Against Turkey?